Dawson Rider with you.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my catch-up review for the Go-Go Power Rangers comic series, primarily focusing on the arc dealing with the origins of the White Ranger story and White Light. I don't remember the exact plot point I left off of last time I reviewed Go-Go, because Go-Go is a little bit more, for lack of a better word, episodic, so it's not as interesting to cover every week, but there's actually been some really good and interesting stuff in it. But basically, roughly around where we last left off, Jason found out about the Shattered Grid stuff. He was recruited by the Blue Emissary because, you know, this is kind of an in-between of the backstory of the regular series. So he discovered those memories and was dealing with that. And then the White Ranger arc sort of deals with, well, the origins of that from the perspective of post-Shattered Grid. So Jason's trying to figure out, okay, I've been recruited, and I need to recruit others and help you with this, but I don't want to get anybody else involved, and how are we going to pull this off? And it basically leads to, just like this is kind of like an alternate version of events of what we know. And what's interesting about it is that it shows that Shattered Grid in this timeline affected how the White Ranger came about, but like it still happened at roughly the same time, and like in the TV show and probably the original Boom timeline before Shattered Grid happened, you know, this stuff probably still happened in a form. Like Zordon probably found his way to the White Light Shrine or whatever it's called. But in this timeline though, it was pushed along a little bit by the Blue Emissary, which is interesting because basically the Blue Emissary offers to help bring Tommy back into the fold, and he and Jason are kind of sneaking around the command center, and Zordon finds them and kind of brings him in on helping with the White Light stuff, and he helps him track down where to get the White Light power. It's not just like, oh, Zordon created a power coin. And he even mentions trying to track down Ninjor, which is cool. But it's like basically this power source that's guarded by Saba, and this specific type of power that is extra beyond just a regular power coin. And like the source has this spinning medallion, which looks like what's on his chest, which I assume that's what it was. I don't remember them saying or showing a panel where that's what happened, but at least it seemed like that to me, and in my headcanon that's where it went. But it's a specific different type of power, and we got hints at that in the main comic when he talked about how he felt different because of the White Light. And there's basically a reason that it's more special, it's different, and a reason why Tommy having this would make him the leader. And so Blue Emissary is instrumental in Zordon finding that source, and we see Tommy be recruited for it and sent to go on the quest, kind of like his own little mini ninja quest. So, like in the show, it seemed like, oh, he was just zapped there from the beach, and then they took him down to the, like, secret base and fitted him for the outfit. But in this one, he went on this little quest where he was tested by Saba, and you kind of get a flashback to him with Rita when he was, like, under her control, and he assured her, like, oh, you know, even if I wasn't under your control, I'd still want this, because it's giving me purpose. And basically, the Saba went through a bit of a trial, and like he had this scenario pop up where it seemed like Zed found him and tested Tommy with basically laying down everything to protect it, which proved he was worthy for it. And I thought this was really cool. Like, it was cool seeing the Shattered Grid stuff with the Blue Emissary come into play with a version of this origin. It was cool to see why the White Ranger powers are a little bit more special, adding more lore to it, both because it makes it more interesting, and it gives more of a reason why the White Ranger was so special that Tommy needed to become the leader. It gave more development to Tommy wanting to become the White Ranger, you know, sometimes not feeling worthy at first, but then proving himself. Like, it adds extra layers to that. And I know people are kind of sick of Tommy, but what I like about it is, I mean, I'm definitely sick of it in an aspect too, but I thought it was good story. And like, Tommy was one of the more interesting characters in MMPR simply because of the Evil Green Ranger stuff. And the comics are able to really take the really base level stuff we had in the show and actually expand upon it. So I thought that was really cool. And I liked the way they framed it too, where Jason acknowledged, like, by doing this and, you know, helping Tommy get this and become the White Ranger, that he's going to be taking the lead spot. And so instead of framing it in the weird way we had it in the show, which was ASJ and the others are leaving because of pay issues, and so we awkwardly have the backs of their heads and, no way! And you know, transitioning Rocky, Adam, and Aisha in, we transitioned it into something of it made Jason a stronger character, more of a leader, where he's willing to give up the leadership role on his main team because he has another mission now. I thought that was really cool. It enhanced the White Light backstory, and it enhanced Jason's backstory in terms of why he left in this timeline, and I think that's really cool, and I dug that a lot. I thought it was really cool and intriguing and added a lot more meaning to the White Ranger power-up and when he became the leader, and that whole transition I think was really cool. And then amongst that you have more of the origins of the Omega Rangers, because Jason and Trini also stumble upon what Jason is doing, or not Jason, Jason stumbles upon himself. What are you doing, me? Jason and Zach stumble upon it. Trini and Zach, there we go. They stumble upon it and he's like, look, can you keep this a secret for just a smidge so I can explain what's going on? And basically then they don't force him, like, give me my memories, but like they didn't do it like in a mean way, but they wanted the Blue Emissary to restore their memories in a similar way. And you know, Jason. Now I'm just coming up with ship names. Can I not say Zach and Trini? Zach and Trini basically resolve like, look, we're in this now, we remember it, we're gonna help you, we're in this together. So it gets into the origins of why these three are the ones that remember, why they're the Omega Rangers, and why they're starting to build. And so that's been really cool. I think it's been really solid. What I like about this is Go-Go, it definitely feels like it's just, this and the MMPR comic are very similar now compared to when they started, because this is basically like if we picked up right where we left off after Shattered Grid, whereas MMPR proper is fast forwarding a little bit. But I do like that it's honing in on what Go-Go does best and what differentiates it a little bit, which is the character work. Because while we get like lore origins for White Light, it delved into the character stuff with Tommy, and it delved into the character stuff with Jason and the Omega Rangers forming and the character dynamics of that. And then the most recent issue, which is not related to the White Light arc, it's like Mike, but with the White Ranger. It was a weird, interesting one-off issue that explored what happened in the dumpster for Rita and company when she was trapped in there for 10,000 years. It's like kind of like the PR version of what does the inside of a Pokeball look like? And it was really interesting because it was actually really techy. It was like an AI, and they're like, Zordon basically showed you mercy, and he's letting you do this instead of being executed, basically. Spirit evolution, you know how it is, as we work towards one solution. So basically it runs Rita and all them through simulation scenarios for thousands of years to sort of help them and teach them. And Rita's the primary one, and it's really interesting because she basically gets transported into the body of an unidentified alien girl. Not like she steals her life, it's a simulation. But she runs through an entire lifetime, or most of a lifetime, until she encounters Rita herself, who kills her, and like she lives through a normal life, and she has like echoes of that. Like when she first starts as a kid, she remembers like, I'm Rita Repulsa, like, how dare you, you feeble woman. She said that to her mom. And then eventually it fades into like a background and she becomes this new person, and you see her, you know, get married and have kids and have a normal life. And then when she's a grandma, all of a sudden her true self appears in front of her and like kills her and her husband and ends the simulation. And the computer's like, we're gonna keep running you through simulations of lifetimes for every person you've killed to help you gain empathy. I thought that was really cool. It adds a lot of depth to it, especially since we know Rita doesn't come from all bad in this timeline because her mom was good and Zordon tried to help her. The only problem with this is that we know this doesn't help her. Like, we know eventually she becomes Magi Mother and redeems, but in terms of she goes through all these simulations after 10,000 years, but then she still comes out evil, and there's not really a redeemed version of her either in the original Boom timeline or the show timeline. So that's the only problem with that. And then you do get to see mini versions of all the other characters, like Goldar's is about fighting alongside his brother because he presumably feels guilt over killing him on Zed's orders. Finster is creating things with his wife. And that one, if I remember right, unless this was non-canon, his like annual story had his origin as a mad artist who killed his wife. So maybe that's why she's there. And then Squat is just riding on a bird. And then you have Babu like leading his kingdom because, again, if I remember right from his origin, he was once a leader and then gave it up to save his people and serve Rita. And so that was really cool. Like, again, it adds more depth and interesting things to these one-note characters. I thought it was a cool, interesting issue. Even if, you know, I like that, but it seems weird, like, oh, they're going through this 10,000 year thingy, and then, to use a technical term, thingy, and then they don't end up changed. And if any of them do, it's not till many years after that. but it was still really cool. Overall though, I think Go-Go has been pretty strong for me. I've been enjoying it. I enjoy all the detailed lore origins and the more in-depth character stuff to certain developments we know happen. And I think the coolest thing is it's taking very small base level things from the show and expanding on them. Especially the season 2 transition, in which a lot of it was done because of behind the scenes stuff. And now it's gotten full explanations and development, and obviously it's a different universe, but it's still cool, and I think that's really neat, so I've been enjoying it. I would give kind of an overall score of 8 to the last batch of issues, and I'm looking forward to seeing its end run. But what do you guys think? If you are keeping up with it, have you been enjoying it? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications from my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.